the next important step is about creating a foundation for your content marketing strategy. That is, when you want to get started with content marketing, fast understanding through these basics, then what should be the points to measure through about your team, and how should you go ahead and effectively handle them in an perfectly required, nice to integrate manner. So the first point out there is creating and managing content. The next one is optimizing, aggregating, and curating the content. The third one is going ahead and doing through conversations and listening from them. And finally, measuring as well as learning and adapting to the program. So this is ideally a step-by-step kind of blueprint, a step-by-step kind of mechanism, or a step-by-step kind of method to be followed by the content marketing team, so as they are creating content in line with your previous understanding as well as the business understanding of thought leadership. So if I want to do content creation in line with being a market leader, being a thought process leader, being an expertise, my content team should have this process in their mind when they are delivering content. So if I go ahead and tell the content team that write an article about digital marketing training programs in India, so simple way of doing it would be just to go ahead and curate some points about the syllabus of it and tell through that digital marketing training is something which is done at few of these institutes. But if this would have been something to be turned into a thought leadership based article, I would be first telling, or ideally the team would be having that maturity of first going ahead and creating content about it, of doing the research of what all institutes are there for digital marketing, where all are they spread across, then optimizing, aggregating and curating the content, that is going ahead and trying to find their reviews, going ahead and trying to find about the ratings of it, going ahead and trying to find the history of those institutes. Then there would be the process of listening and conversations, that is trying to know from people actually by doing a conversation with them as to which all institutes they are aware of, what is the information they are having, even going ahead and checking out blog posts, going ahead and being active on social media, going ahead and even listening to the comments which may be received on their first time in their article. And then the next step is about measuring and learning and adapting across to the program. So that's the important activity wherein you go ahead and they go ahead and learn or understand and adapt to the complete program. That is, they go ahead and see that if they have published this article with this great amount of detail, what is the response they are getting from it, how is it turning out into a business benefit where they are promoting their own product in the form of a training institute, and also learning that whatever would be the mistakes in this article or in this particular content, how would they be changing it into something effective in maybe their next blog post or their next article writing activity. So that's an important step-by-step process of all the 4 steps incorporated. Important very much so as you can turn your team into a effective leader in their content abilities. The next thing is ideally a synoptical overview as what could be the best marketing team if you are going ahead and developing them from scratch in a completely new organization, or if you have just gone ahead and thought of incorporating the process of having a marketing team in your organization. So the first and foremost entity in this would be to have one person who would be the strategist or the team leader. Under him or her, there would be requirement of at least 3 to 5 different people, in which the most important core team would be about the editorial director or even the curator and the syndicator, followed by which there would be content producers, the designers, and the content creators. So herein, the most important element is going to be related to the content creators, but to align the content creators and the designers in line with your business goal, you would require someone as a content producer who would be actually aggregating the content from the lower two colleagues or the alignment of the designer and the creators over them, so as the produced content is matching across the standards of the organization. You would have the curator and the syndicator who would be closely working in giving across newer ideas, who would be closely working in checking through the content for enhancements, who would be closely working in ensuring that the business goals are meeting with your content. And overall in this activity, to go ahead and manage the content producer, there would be the editorial director who would be more focused on the kind of data which you are sharing with your end users. So this is the basic mechanism how a team could be in an complete content marketing activity required for a particular business. Similarly, there would be also the analytics expert and the site manager who could be an important element and should be made a part of the team, so as they are working across and suggesting good improvements on the technical side as well as on the digital marketing front of SEO, which will be helping or turning out to be complementary for your content marketing process. And once we have seen that, the next important foundation concept is that when all these people, the people who are forming a part of your team, the people with whom you have shared through this process about how effectively step-by-step content is to be done, the next step is to go ahead and create specific personas and go ahead and create a journey for your buyer, so as he or she would be learning and understanding. That is, your content marketing team and whoever, from the level of the designer to the level of the producer or even the editorial director, whatever the scale of your team is, this next important step will help them understand and bifurcate that when they are creating content, on one hand, when they have their business goal in line, on the other hand, they also require to have through this goal about your end users in line with them. So here, as you can see through, there are 6 to 7 different personas which have been identified across. And while this is just a plain example, this is actually wired when you want to go ahead and share targeted data with your target set of customers. So why this is important is because on a regular basis, in line with these set of activities and in line with these set of buyer personas of you would be aligning your marketing activity as well. Because just selling or just going ahead and promoting your product through your intelligence and your business goals will not make utmost sense till time you even have this entity of your end users in line and with understanding of it. So the first one is about, like, here are these personas. Let me give some explanation of how they have been built. Like, there is a persona in the form of someone who is a knowledge seeker. So this persona is mostly about people who just want good information, who want insight information, who want relevant information about your product or service. And then you would be defining the needs, the age group, and other mechanisms about that person, that it would be someone in the age range of 25 to 35. It would be someone who could be a working professional. It would be someone who would be very much interested in gaining new insights on a regular basis. These are an important alignment of your end user in line with your goals of thought leadership, as well as in line with your process of your marketing team for creating content, and in line with your knowledge of your end user. Because in one of the previous examples in the start, we have seen that most important benefit, or one of the important benefit of content marketing, is around getting to know your customers. So this knowledge of your customers can be known if you know the variety of habits, the variety of abilities, the variety of thought processes which are provoked when someone is learning about your product or service. And that's what is being seeked out here in this particular set of content marketing mechanism that we are seeing through. So with that being said, the next step then coming in line, once you have decided your team, once you have decided your business goals, once you have defined your customers, is the process of how step by step would your brand be known to the people. What will be the elements you would be incorporating for your brand to be known to your end user. And to know through the same, here is a basic explanation, while herein it is indeed a very detailed process if one wants to go ahead and understand through about your brand being known to people. But in simple terms, if you have a clear vision, if you have a clear mission, as well as you value across your brand, your people, your organization, and your content, then over a time frame, if you have developed that authorship, you have developed that authority, if you have been a thought leader through the variety of means you are trying to reach your end user with, right from blog post to article publishing to maybe even social media updates, to updates on probably a PR article or updates through even different set of articles, all that will finally lead across to you in a better branding element, and it will be letting people know the brand of your voice, and it would be turning out your process into a really intrigued mechanism where you would be a thought leader. So the main aim out here is that whatever is the vision, mission, whatever is your key processes, if you are keeping and close hand onto them, you would be definitely developing your brand into a thought leader based mechanism. So that's few insights, important insights about the foundation for content marketing. The next main step is having a goal based approach, or is having a systematic approach about your content. To help us through with the same, we have a mechanism known as smarting out your content, or creating a goal which is smart. Now, I definitely believe each one of you on this other hand listening to the conversation is a smart guy or a girl who is interested in knowing about digital marketing. But herein, smart is coming in a varied method, in a different sense, in the form of SMART being defined as S going for specific, M going for measurable, A going for attainable or achievable, R going for being relevant, and T coming in relation with timely. So not just specifically for content marketing, But even when we are talking about an overall digital marketing strategy, these are some of the important elements to keep in mind when we are going ahead and inputting through the same. That first of all, we need to be as much specific as possible in regards with our goals. Like, I am going to go ahead and publish a blog article with the help of which at a minimum I will be getting across around 100 users to my website, from which I am expecting 5 sales of my product. So this is something which is a specific definition in which I am trying to incorporate elements like who is involved in this project. So I am the content writer myself. I am having the team my content had involved. I am having my end user involved in it. Then what do I want to accomplish? So I want to accomplish 100 new users coming to the website and want to accomplish 2 sales happening through. Then going forward, where will it be done? So it will be done across on my own website. And then why am I doing this? What is the reason or purpose? So as I am increasing my brand awareness through new users, as well as so as I am getting revenues through sales happening on my site. And finally, which is or what are the constitutes or requirements that I have in line. So I require an article which will relate to my end user persona. So this is a simple way in which I have defined or tried to define the 5 W's of who, what, where, why and which, wherein it is helping me to be as specific as possible in relation or in line with my end goal. So that's the first element about being smart, wherein you try to be as specific as possible for your end result. Then there is measurable, that is once I have defined this, once I have gone ahead and even written a blog post article, then what will be the tool basis which I'll be measuring it and over what period of time would I be doing that. So herein under measurable, you first need to know that whether that outcome what you are looking at, whether that can be measured, whether its progress can be seen or not. So in this scenario, I have said that I want 100 users and 2 sales. I need to know the tool with the help of which I'll be able to know that whether 100 new users have come in a time frame or not, and whether 2 sales have happened or not. Similarly, there is this mechanism of how much or how will I know when my goal is accomplished. So this measurement scenario is a big time benefit in digital marketing, which is based on tools, specifically analytical tools, which can let you know if that activity has happened and if it is being measured across and is it being accomplished or not. So it should be a measurable, it should not be set of vague outputs like I am thinking of reaching across 1 lakh people through this branding activity, but I don't know whether 1 lakh people would be knowing my branding or not. So that's an immeasurable goal which you are trying to set through. The next thing is attainable and achievable. So is the activity which I am talking about really up to the mark? Is it something achievable or is it something totally out of the blue which I am talking about? Like, let's say if someone says that I have a budget of 1000 rupees for doing paid advertisement online and I am trying to achieve a target of reaching 1 lakh people. So that's completely a bias in possessive goal which will not give you the required output or which will not be in turn as to what you are looking forward at. So make sure that whatever you are looking forward at, it is attainable or achievable. Then the next thing is about relevancy, that when you are thinking of a particular goal, is it relevant to what you are doing as an activity? Like if someone says that I am writing a blog post because I want that my competitor should not get the traffic which I should get, this is not 100% relevant to your business alignment. Or if someone says I am going ahead and writing an article because that is something which is being done through as an activity by my competitor also, but it doesn't have any business sense. So herein the relevancy factor is taking a backlog, and you are more importantly focusing on competition. Thus your goals of your content strategy should be relevant. And finally, it should be timely. It should be going ahead and be in a specific time frame, that I want 100 users, I want 2 sales happening across in a time frame of 1 month for sure. So that is a time frame based limitation. Timely is very much important because goals can be defined easily, but the time when it would happen, if it does not come across in the right way, then it could lead across to a particular delay, a hard delay in your marketing activity. So your objective should be time based, and it should be coming across in the form of specific days, months, weeks, or specific year in which you are going to achieve the same. So that's the smart way of doing across your activity for starting your content marketing mechanism. Once you have smarted your goals, the next thing is about the technology you're going to use for your content, because when we want to do activity like measuring of goals, when we want to do activity like having a time-based measurement of our goals, we need to go ahead and choose the technology which will help us do that. So here's a small kind of checklist with 4 pointers about what best would be the probability of choosing the technology basis the mechanism. So the first one is having a management system, specifically a content management system, which will keep everything organized. Now here, the main focus of content management system and technology is coming in point 2, and before that there is a basic pointer about just management system. So when we are talking about a management system, we are specifically talking through about the location where all the content would be segregated, where all the content would be aligning together. It could be possible that in a big team there are not thousands, but could be at least tens or hundreds of users working on the same project. So therein, there should be a common place where all the content is, like maybe a common online location like a Google Drive or a Dropbox, or maybe a common business communication system like a Slack, wherein you have a common place for aggregating the data. So that's one thing which is very important of having a management system. Second is to go ahead and use a specific technology for the same, because the first one is related to the people, not specifically the technical people, but the complete team going ahead and managing the data. The second one is related to purely and heavily dependent through on the management technology, which is decided through by the analytical and the site development experts, wherein the content people would be required to learn that technology and go ahead and publish or go ahead and send through their data, which is in their set of maybe Word documents or spreadsheets out there on the content management technology platform. So there are very famous CMSs like WordPress or Drupal, which are being used so as a complete site is managed across. And this is specifically from a website perspective, but even for maybe publishing PR articles or maybe doing it on a third-party website, some technology should be necessarily in place to do through the same. Past that, there is the process about requirements checklist, that when you are choosing a technology, then what is the basic requirement that you have? Like, do you need some support for image creation as a software? Do you need some support for a common directory to save your data like a Dropbox? So you need to do that checklist from your end, that these are the minimal requirements, And then finally, you have your research as the last part, a research-based checklist that what would be the tools for the content research part, and from the requirements, how best we can match it up with a list of research being in place. Means many a times for new content, there are requirements of good amount of input done on research for the data about statistics, about infographics, about important numbers and graphs, about important data coming from surveys or from various sources, various even recommended or various online authentic and government based sources. So therein you need to know that which all would be these where we will also be catering across to. So that's the process about choosing the technology with 4 steps, mostly about the system for management within employees, a technical system from the end of site developer in point 2, a requirement based gathering of all of this together, and finally a research additional checklist for some additional stuff you may be required to add on across to your process of content marketing. Once we have seen the process about the technology choosing element, the next thing coming in line is about writing and editing. And not just writing and editing, ideally a 3-step process about going ahead and creating your content with the writing element, the editing element in it, as that is the design and related stuff, as well as the curating or the proofreading element. So there are 3 major steps in this process. One of writing, which is having its 3 elements, as well as the part of design and curation, which is again having its subsets. So we are going to see all of this in this particular training. In the first part, when we are talking about creation of content through writing or editing it, that is the mechanism of starting to write something, followed by editing through the same, and finally getting a check on the grammar and other elements and the correctiveness element through proofreading. So when we are thinking of doing that, the elements in line is that we should be having a content plan for writing basis these major 3 to 4 parts, wherein the first one is that there should be a frame based work through which the proposal is to be made. Also, there should be an outline included through as to what will be the steps and what would be the sequence of it. Now, what I mean by these 2 points is, like we are doing this particular training on content marketing, so we are going in a step-by-step manner, first starting with the definition, then understanding the benefits, then doing the process of its goal setting, and then continuously we are right now on the point of the making part or the creation part, and at the end it will be a conclusive part following through. So this is a framework basis which a product has been defined through. Also, there is a sequential order in which the stuff is coming. It is not that the definition of content marketing will come in the last video and there will be the conclusion about why content marketing is great coming in the first video. So this is very much important to go ahead and have a perfect set of positive frame in which you are doing that activity. Followed by that, in your plan of writing, there should be the mechanism about what will be the important set of elements which would be making sure that it's a propositive solution for your business output relation, as well as it has some strategies and great set of solutions given in the complete plan. And past that, in the plan in relation with writing and editing, you should be having the collaboration with the superior team or maybe the senior team who would be going ahead and giving you more typical ideas on making your proposal healthy enough and it being something more evolved with editing and proofreading as a part of it. So that's one important step in your writing process, that should have a framework, it should be in a sequential manner, There should be a clear proposal into it. And finally, it should be something which is proofread or which has been again gone under the hammer of the person who is more experienced or has certain seniority in the same. So that's the first element of writing, editing and proofreading. Past that, in relation with it will come the mechanism of design, because it's always said as an anecdote that an image speaks 1,000 words. So similarly, the content which you are creating, it should be possessed through with images in best possible trying and tested formats. Like it could be having through basics in the form of some graphic designing element which will be coming from the content designer, wherein he would again be having a 2-3 step process happening in the same, like ideating the best form of graphics possible for the content, creating through the same, and then adding it across to your post. Now this could be as simple as logos or vector diagrams, or as informative as a complete infographic or statistics which are showing great set of information or great set of diagrams and inputs. So this design element is the next step, because in relation with your topic, if your topic is around automobiles, there would be graphic designs around the same. If your topic is around healthy living, there would be graphic designs nearby the same. So that mechanism is to be added through in your post with the help of the designer. So past writing, designing is the next step coming in line. And finally, once these two steps have been done through, in that there is going to be the element of curating your content. What content curation ideally means, as we can read through in the definition here, is it is the process of gathering relevant information for a particular topic or area, and you go ahead and do through the process with the help of services or people that implement content curation are the people who are called as content curators. Curation services can be used by businesses as well as end users. So this would be something which forms as an important point, because while your writing abilities and your design abilities would be individual to the writer or to the designer, with the help of curation, you then have the additional benefit coming in line, where you are going ahead and trying to make or brainstorm yourself for the newer set of data or newer set of relevant information which would be helpful for the processes going ahead, or which could be helpful for editing the mechanisms in the current scenario. So what a curator does is that he would be going ahead and finding across and building various sources, or going ahead and collecting various unique data sources from where content could be found through. Then he or she would be going ahead and reading across those content sources for finding what is really worthy and what is something which may not be up to the standards. And then this collection would be gone ahead and shared across in the mechanism of a blog post or a newsletter with your end users. So when a writer or when a big team of designers are going ahead and creating huge sets of content, the curator is the one who will go ahead and pick the right set which would be useful for sharing across with the end users. To give you a typical example of it, a newspaper website or probably a newspaper which is going ahead and sharing its e-paper online or on a mobile app, they would be doing this activity on a very regular basis. Out there, from all the news articles, etc., there would be a curator who would be trying to find out which article or which post or which particular PR related data would be the best to be shared with the other users online through social media, through Facebook and other mediums. So that's the role of a curator. for finding the best possible data amongst all sources of data. So in your plan itself, past writing, past designing, as a content marketing plan, it's very important that curating element is made through an important utmost activity of sharing across what is relevant from a huge big pile of data which is compiled. So that's the 3-step process about writing, designing and curating, and each one of them having sub-steps in them as well about how the activity can be done. If you are incorporating these, it's definitely a sure shot gamble that you would be getting the best set of output possible from your activity of content marketing. Seeing the process wherein we have seen the elements about writing of content, designing of content and curating it, one more additional part which would be very much important in it is of having a lean process of creation of it. So one would be idly thinking what I mean by lean here, because generally lean comes in comparison with a fat process. Means a fat process would be something where there are multiple people involved, there is good amount of inputs going into it, there is lengthy discussions and a whole lot of other stuff. When we are talking about a lean content creation process, we are talking about some important elements which would help through it happen in a very easy manner. So what we are talking here is that a good practice related to content should be such that first of all it is easy to create, means there isn't high end of either technical difficulties, there isn't high end of even writing based difficulties, there isn't even high end of expertise difficulties. So whatever is the content, the creation process should be as simple as possible. It should be possible to do it in a Word document. It should be possible that it doesn't require very high expertise or someone very mature to do it. Second is, it should be requiring optimal effort. That is, either it should not be such which requires no effort at all, or it should either not be such which requires so much of effort that your complete time is just behind research but the actual output is not coming by. So it should be something which is requiring optimal effort. Third is, it should be easy to reiterate, means if there are any errors which have prominated into it, or if you find at a later stage that there could be a better process created from it, then that can be implemented or could be reiterated. And then it should be easier to be created quickly, as well as should require lesser resources. Instead of 10 people or maybe 15 people working on it, if it is a kind of a very huge organization with huge teams, then the resources required could be a bit more or less would work. But generally, it would be better through that the lesser the resources, the quicker the process, the quicker you create, the easier you create, the better to implement it. So that's one more element in our 4-step plan related to writing, designing, curating, which we have seen. And the final step of it being, with all these elements incorporated, it should stay as lean as possible. Because as it said, the fitter you are, the better for your health. So the fitter is your content plan, the better for the health of your digital marketing strategy.